Hey guys, what's going on? James here, and in this video today, we're going to be taking a look at all the players that we all should be keeping an eye on for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers Week 2 matchup versus the Atlanta Falcons. If you guys are new here, go ahead and subscribe, hit the like button if you do enjoy these types of videos, and leave which players you personally are going to be keeping your eyes on in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts or read your guys' thoughts and opinions. But let's go ahead and start talking about the first guy that I've got on my list. It's Buccaneers wide receiver Mike Evans. So if you go back to week number 1, Chris Godwin and Antonio Brown both had really big games, right? They both had over 100 yards. They both had a touchdown. Chris Godwin did have a fumble that, quite frankly, almost lost the Buccaneers that game, but he did redeem himself in the final drive. Mike Evans, for the most part, was pretty darn quiet in week number 1, at least considering what we are used to seeing from him in, big games from Mike Evans, right? He comes in, he has over 100 yards, he gets, 1 or 2 really big plays, and we didn't see that in week number 1 from Mike Evans. Byron Leftwich was asked about, not specifically Mike Evans, a different player who will be on this list in a little bit, but asked about, that specific player getting the ball, and to paraphrase, Byron Leftwich said, look, we have a lot of playmakers. Not everybody is going to get the ball based on one week to another. And I think the same logic can apply to Mike Evans and really all the playmakers on this team. There are going to be some weeks where guys aren't going to get the football. There are going to be other weeks where guys are going to get the football a lot. It all just depends on a lot of variables, a lot of different factors. So, I have Mike Evans on this list because will he be one of those guys who's going to get the ball thrown his way a lot? I think there's a decent possibility of that. The Falcons secondary is a little bit shaky, and a big-bodied wide receiver like Mike Evans, I think, could definitely take advantage of that. Of course, Antonio Brown and Chris Godwin could as well. Again, we'll just have to wait and see. So, will Mike Evans rebound from a quiet week number 1? Or will other guys continue to get opportunities and Mike Evans, doesn't get the ball thrown his way that much in this game? Who knows, but I'm curious to go ahead and see what happens. The second couple of guys I've got here on this list, and I say a couple because I did a 2-in-1 package here because these guys really are intertwined. It's Ronald Jones and Leonard Fournette. And I know I have talked about this so stinking much on this channel, but really, this has been a conversation that has gone back to last year. Ronald Jones and Leonard Fournette. Which guy should be the starter? Which guy's the better running back? This has been something that has been on a lot of Bucs fans' minds for a while now. And we really didn't get much clarity from the coaching staff, in my opinion, where after the game, Bruce Arians came out and said, to paraphrase, this isn't exactly what Bruce Arians said word for word, but essentially he had said, Ronald Jones was benched after his fumble because he had struggled to get over his fumble mentally. Then, a couple of days after he gave those quotes, Bruce Arians came out and said, no, Rojo was ready. In fact, he's going to be the starter in week number 2. We just started passing the ball more. That is why Ronald Jones was not playing, as much in week number 1. But he's ready to go. He's going to be the starter in week number 2. Which has led me to question a lot as to what in the world's going on with this Buccaneers running back room. Don't worry, we'll talk about it more a little bit later on in this video regarding other running backs. But yeah, I have an eye to keep on both these guys because I just want to see what happens. I want to see what the coaching staff does. Of course, Bruce Arians, came out and said, hey, Ronald Jones is the starter. But what does that mean anymore for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Does that mean he's just going to get a couple of handoffs on the first drive and then they're going to switch to Ronald Jones? Is there going to be a super short leash on Ronald Jones if he has another fumble or makes another bad play, something along those lines? Who knows? But yeah, it's definitely going to be worth paying attention to because this is still a confusing situation to me. I know some people have said it's not that hard to figure out. I would tend to disagree a little bit. This is a kind of confusing situation to me based on all the quotes and all the information that we're getting from the coaching staff themselves. It isn't giving much clarity to what the situation is for me. So I don't know. Maybe I'm in the minority here in terms of, being confused about this situation, but leave your guys' thoughts about this. Regardless, both these guys are going to be worth paying attention to purely for the simple fact of can they rebound from the turnovers that they both had in week number 1, but also because I'm going to be paying attention to what the coaching staff is going to do with them even though they said Ronald Jones is starting in week number 1. The third player I have to keep an eye on is the defensive side of the football now. It is going to be Jamel Dean. And this has gotten even a little bit more interesting because Carlton Davis right now is questionable for Sunday's game with a hamstring injury. I believe he either A, did not participate in practice today, or B, he was a limited participant. I think he was a limited participant, but this is, had a couple of people that I talked to say, whoa, Jamel Dean versus Calvin Ridley. I don't know about that one, and we'll see if that does come up. I would probably make a video talking about that, and talking about Carlton Davis if he can't play in week number 2, but let's assume right now Carlton Davis is going to play in week number 2. Jamel Dean's still going to be worth paying attention to regardless because Sean Murphy-Bunting is out. Jamel Dean, he struggled in week number 1. They definitely targeted him a lot, Dak Prescott and the Cowboys wide receivers. So can Jamel Dean rebound from a really rough week number 1? Can he get out there and show a lot of people what he can do? He's very fast, and he has shown good coverage skills in the past for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He's going to be going up against in my opinion, not as good as the Cowboys, Falcons wide receiver group. You have Calvin Ridley, of course. Kyle Pitts is there, Hayden Hurst, but then you've got some other guys like Russell Gage. Should be a little bit of an easier matchup for Jamel Dean. So let's see if he can rebound. Let's see if he can hold up. If he struggles in this game, oh man, that would be not good. But we will hopefully not have to cross that bridge. And we'll just have to keep an eye on Jamel Dean and see if he can rebound. I do think that he can. The second to last player that I have us all needing to keep an eye on is going to be yet another Buccaneers wide receiver. It's going to be Giovani Bernard. And earlier when I talked about Byron Leftwich saying about a specific player not getting targeted as much, or, his role in the offense, and saying, hey, not every guy can get the football every single game, the player that was in question was Giovani Bernard. And Bruce Arians had also said, look, he's our third down back. He's our 2-minute back. That's his role. And this is maybe biased of me, but I do believe that Giovani Bernard's role does deserve to expand. I think he should be used more in the passing game. I think that he is the best receiving back on this team, and he's also the best pass blocking back on this team. Otherwise, he wouldn't be in there on third down when that's pretty much not exclusively, that's pretty much most of the time going to be passing plays, depending on the yardage. You have your best pass blocking back in there. There's Giovani Bernard. The point I'm trying to make here is let's pay attention to Giovani Bernard because I'm going to be curious to see if the coaching staff does give him more opportunities, both as a receiving back and maybe a little bit as a runner as well. I don't know. We will just have to wait and see at that. But I think at the very least, he deserves to have a few more targets thrown his way. So will they continue to use him sparingly like they did in week number 1, or will he get more opportunities here moving forward, especially considering how Leonard Fournette and Ronald Jones both had a turnover apiece basically in week number 1? Will that create more opportunities for Giovani Bernard? Who knows, but it will be interesting to see. Finally, the last player that I have us needing to keep an eye on going into this upcoming game is going to be Bradley Pinion, the actual NFC Week 1 Special Teams Player of the Week. Bradley Pinion, great start to his season, right? He was doing phenomenal. I think he showed the importance of what it means to have a good punter and backing up opposing teams near their own end zone. Field position's a big thing, and special teams plays a very key role in that. And it can be very, very, very impactful on a game. Like, absolute big momentum swings, in my opinion, is good special teams play or bad special teams play. So I'm excited. This sounds weird, but hopefully we don't have to punt a ton. But if Bradley Pinion is able to get out there a couple of times, fire off some punts. Let's hope that he continues his great game that he had in week number 1, because pinning opposing teams back deep in their own territory really can make a difference in a game, and I think a lot of people overlook that. I do think it is an underrated aspect of the game that can help out the Buccaneers in major, major ways that you wouldn't even think about unless you're really looking for stuff like that. So that is going to be very, very exciting in my opinion. But guys, that's going to be it for this video. What do you guys think about all the players that I mentioned worth keeping an eye on? Again, what players are you going to be keeping an eye on and watching in the Buccaneers Week 2 matchup versus the Falcons? Go ahead and let me know in the comments. I would love to hear it. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Hope you all enjoyed. I will see you all in the next video or the next live stream. But until then, and as always, guys, goodbye for now, and go Bucs.